We are, oh, fuck. OBS. We are recording on Saturday, October 5th, 2024 at 10:03 a.m. Eastern Time. And yeah, we were just with Mr. John Cullen, who's been on here a million times before. You guys can go to the link in the description, find the link to his YouTube and his Twitter. We were just talking before this about what's going on in North Carolina after the hurricane and how it's yeah. At first you go, they're so bad, and then it starts dawning on you, or you go, it'd be like if firefighters made a ring around the World Trade Center and we're like, you can't go in. It's like, not only are you not doing your job, this is, I mean, this is murder. This is attempted murder. And that's what's going on right now in North Carolina. But we're not going to talk, we can talk about that, but we're also going to talk about, the other thing the government did a couple months ago when they tried to blow Trump's head off on TV. So, which pick your poison. Which government highlight do we want to talk about, John?
Well, today Trump is going back to Butler.
Oh yeah, he is. It's Saturday.
Yeah, and
Fuck.
people were lining up last night. People were like camping out to go to this event in Butler today, and he's going to have Elon Musk is going to be there. He's going to have Corey Mills. I don't know if Corey Mills is going to make it. Corey Mills was invited, but he may be down in North Carolina, Kentucky. You know, he may be helping people out down there.
Hmm.
So I'm not certain if he's going to make it, but I know Elon Musk is planning to be there. Big salute to Corey Comparatory and tribute to his family. I think David Dutch and James Copenhaver will both be there. They were both victims that were shot twice. It's a creepy thing.
Yeah.
Going back there 90 days later, I mean, even if it was a year later, I think it would be unsettling.
Not to totally like be on Trump's dick, because I do hate when people just, start to apply grandiose attributes to someone they like. It's like he's but hey, he's still a dude. That being said, it's not like alpha to go back. It is kind of putting your dick on the table.
And a lot of
Not to
people
be a fanboy, but
and a lot of people close to him were like, What? It was a lousy venue in the first place as far as security. And I mean, it's a pretty place. But if you're looking at a place and saying, well, this is not like a safe place to set up. And that's what Clay was telling us, right? When we were
yeah.
together with Clay, it was 6, 8 weeks ago. Clay was like, the venue is just fraught with places to shoot from that
Fifth,
would be semi undetectable unless, you had equipment or something.
it's my fifth most viewed episode now.
Wow. Wow.
This is
All right.
episode 1588. So it ain't nothing. It's fifth most all time. Sorry, keep going.
That's pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
top. That's less than the top 1%.
That's
So
a
that's
it's like 1% of 1%.
yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I thought what we would do in this session is review the evidence that seems to be floating to the top. Right. So we talked about a lot of different stuff the last time we were together with Clay. For those of you who didn't see that show, that Clay Martin, pretty famous author. You had him on the show a number of times before we got together, and very well respected former Marine sniper, SOCOM sniper, instructor. Very well respected in the industry. And I think he's also a rep for Sig Sauer, right? I think he goes to all the different shows and tells people about taking mile-long shots and stuff like that. So we were together. We talked about a lot of different things at the event because it was somewhat early, and we're looking for clues, right? There was a song by Robert Palmer, I think, called "Looking for Clues." We were looking for clues, right? We're trying to find what's going on here because we didn't have the body cam footage. We were working off this lousy footage from one of the eyewitnesses, is swinging his camera around like it was on a rope. And so we're using all this lousy footage and we're trying to figure out what's going on. Well, now we've had the benefit of having a bunch of police body cam footage released, dash cam footage released from the police. And we've had the benefit of being able to study the scene. And by study the scene, I'm talking about some 3D stuff, meaning modeling the venue in 3D. And in doing so, a number of things become apparent. And this is not something that you see Like, we don't get a weekly update from the FBI or the DOJ or anybody. Like, nobody's telling us about the investigation into the Butler event. And it just seems a bit odd given that they had two vehicles that had explosives in them.
Hmm.
How many cars you have?
I have one, believe it or not.
You have one car.
Only one in my motorcade.
Okay, so if you were going to drive somewhere 45 minutes away and bring some explosives, how do you get the van with the explosives too? How do you get two vehicles with explosives to if you've got one car?
Hmm. Uh,
Kind of weird because there's this
I'll,
white van with explosives, and then they show us photos of a Hyundai something or other, Sonata, Elantra, whatever it was, a Hyundai, and in the trunk he's got a bunch of explosives. Well, where do you learn how to do that? I don't think there's YouTube videos on making explosives. I haven't seen any. You?
no.
You'd think we would get recommended that stuff, right? If anybody was ever going to get
Yeah, you
recommended
think yeah,
videos on how to make bombs and take them out to the
how
forest
to
and
shoot,
blow up
yeah.
chipmunks, right? It would be us,
It would be
right?
us, yeah. From these
I don't
talks.
get any of those
Absolutely.
recommendation things. Yeah, take a little Clorox bleach and add it to
Yeah.
some chocolate Hershey syrup and go blow up the chipmunks.
World
There's
War
no
One fun for the
videos like
family.
that. Yeah, there's no videos like that on YouTube. So how does a 20-year-old kid learn how to make a van full of explosives at 20?
Hmm.
Dude, you want to know what I was doing at 20? You don't want to know what I was doing at 20, right? I was in college, right? Being an idiot.
Yeah. Actually, what I was doing at 20 was getting in a lot of trouble at a frat house that I lived in. But it was just honestly, it's kind of ironic that we're talking about it. But at 20, I was burning a lot. We would just get drunk and throw everything in the fire.
So
But
you were just living at a frat house but not going to college?
yeah, no, no, no. I was in college.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah, yeah. You know, I
20,
was
you're
living in a yeah.
college age, being an
Well,
idiot, right?
what I mean is like you would
Making
expect a 20 year
bombs.
old to make a bomb like we would, which it weren't bombs. It was we would just throw in like traffic cones because they'd burn.
Beer bomb. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
beer bongs with a funnel
yeah,
on your head and bud people pouring Budweiser into the funnel on your head. And this kid's making explosives in
yeah.
two different vehicles. And Chris Wray gets in front of Congress and tells everybody, yeah, no, his lone gunman doesn't look like he had any help. So when the FBI lies to Congress and lies to the American people, to me, they've lost the moral high ground. They've lost any moral authority, and they've become. I want to do an episode on my show. You guys know I do a podcast every Friday, and I want to do something comparing the FBI today to the Gestapo in 1941-42.
Hmm.
What was going on? What as far as tactics? I understand the uniforms are different, the footwear is different, but other than the footwear and the uniforms, are the tactics significantly different? The FBI comes and does a no-knock warrant and breaks your door down and shoots a guy in the head and says, "Oh my God, we're in the wrong house." And they don't pay for the repairs, by the way. When they do that and they break in everything and they ruin everything and they toss everything in the house, they don't pay for the repairs. So to me, slowly, drip by drip by drip, I think the FBI's turned into kind of like a Gestapo. And if anybody can help me understand the difference in the tactics, that would be really helpful. But they lie to Congress. Chris Wray lies to Congress, holds his hand up, swears to tell the truth, and lies. We know this from the Las Vegas shooting. And again, at some point, you have to take a stand. And you have to say, you guys have lost the moral high ground. And lying to Congress repeatedly about event after event after event. They covered up this COVID thing. We talked about that with the bird flu and the H7N9 and Callahan going to China and all this other stuff. It's like we're living in the Truman Show. They're putting on a show for the public, and the people up in that production booth are putting on the show for the public. And everybody thinks, this is what's happening and that's what's happening. And that's not what's happening. And it's gotten to the point where it's not a thing or two. It's not just the Vegas shooting. It turned into COVID and 7 million plus people died. And now everybody's dealing with the downstream effects of what apparently was supposed to be preventatives.
Myocarditis.
Worse, more young women are contracting cancer now than ever before in history.
More stillbirths and miscarriages
Yeah.
than
So
there's a 1 in 400,000 year. I've had OBGYNs on here several times talk about a 1 in 400,000 year deviation in miscarriage percentages.
yeah. Have you had Dr. James Thorpe?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I've had him on. I've had him on with his colleagues or and
He's brilliant.
in
The guy is
Canada.
brilliant.
Absolutely
I don't know.
incredible.
He's very, very humble, and I don't know if you guys understand how
Oh,
brilliant
he uh,
James Thorpe
he's a
is.
genius. He does shit pro bono all the time. Helps anyone trying to have
Not even that. I'm talking about genius level OBGYN.
yeah.
Probably top 10 in the world, top 3 in the country. He does high risk pregnancy stuff where they determine that there's something wrong with the fetus early, and he goes in and fixes it. He's at a level of medicine that most people never get to. I mean, he's probably one of the most respected, if not the most respected OBGYN in the country.
And former
I used to do a podcast with him. I was on a
yeah.
podcast with him for 4 or 5
Okay.
months or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, former Air Force, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great guy, great guy.
Yeah.
So net of this is they're fooling doctors with PCR tests, and again, it's like you get to a certain point where you just say, where does it stop? Where does it end? Are
Well,
any of the stories that we're told true?
it doesn't end, and in the idea of like the Truman Show, you can almost look at it, you could look at it as I look at it as God. You could look at it as the universe, creator, whatever you want to, pick your higher power. It does almost seem like it seems like one of those like Stanford tests. Was it the Milgram was the one where they're
Yeah, yeah,
shocking?
no,
It
yeah,
almost
the
seems like
Milgram
that.
treatment.
What do you do? It's I have because I to myself as well. It's easier to look at, and that sounds bad, but I'm just gonna be very honest. It's easier to ignore it when it's quote over there, when there are bombs dropping, and let's be honest, on brown goat farmers, it's very easy for us to go, yeah, that's fucking, it's the CIA, it's not, it's a whole thing.
Yeah,
Ukraine is like, oh wow, they're white. Israel is like, oh, that's our ally. Taiwan, it's like that's where we get our GPUs. But now it's they're hunting down J6. Oh, no, my friend's grandma died because she couldn't get fucking ivermectin, and now it's right now you're going, they're blocking aid to the hurricane victims, and is that just some crazy? No, 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 no. That's Elon Musk showing video and putting transcripts of his phone call to his helicopter pilot who he directed. And I don't know if you saw this, but Biden tweeted last night that we have put 69 Starlinks to the people in those were not from him. That was from a private company against the government's issue. So my point is not to completely derail it, but you almost start to wonder at what point do you have to go, hey, it's at your door. You have to do something. You have to
I think we're there. I think
donate
we're at
10
that point.
bucks. Go fucking bring a water bottle. It's at your doorstep.
I think we're at that point. And you mentioned Elon Musk, the fact that he has to go rescue the astronauts from the space station because NASA doesn't have their act together. These are tax dollars. We spend 11 billion on the FBI on an annual basis. 11 billion dollars, and I don't know a sheriff in the country that gets excited when the feds show up, unless they bring their IBIS Trax bullet system, the 3D bullet thing that they've got. Other than that, who the hell needs the FBI? They got some cool lab equipment, but other than that, what are they doing that the sheriffs can't do? You understand that a lot of these sheriffs across the country have got thousands of, like in Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Metro Police Department, Illinois and Chicago. Sheriffs have got thousands of guys working for them. It's a huge department.
Yeah.
And so you need a bunch of guys from Virginia flying in? For what? What the hell are they bringing with them? Know-how? Something different? It's like if you're the sheriff in Oklahoma, what the hell do you need them showing up for? Again, unless they bring a lab full of equipment in a container and they're like, hey, you want to do some cool DNA stuff? We'll show you, bring some stuff to the table. 11 billion a year? and the Boston bombers sneak through, the school shooters sneak through. They interviewed Thomas Crooks before. Come on.
They
They
interviewed Crooks.
say, something like that. So the net of it is they're terrible at this. How many success stories have we heard? How many 60-minute success stories have there been on the FBI really saved the day?
I've had on Ed Morales, who shot those cop killers in '86 in Miami, and that's
He's
one.
the FBI guy who killed the cop killers.
Yeah, yeah. He's one
But
dude, and he's a good guy. That's not even FBI. That's Ed.
but they don't even publicize this stuff. In
No, they
other
don't.
words,
I have to have
they're
him on
their
my
own
show.
worst enemy. Right. They're
Yeah,
their own worst enemy. It's like, guys, if you do something that's relevant and meaningful, maybe you should tell people so that we wouldn't be so upset about taking our $11 billion of tax money. Right. So now it only works out to be what, $30 a person, 30 something dollars a person per year in America if we tax everybody. So we have got 330 something million people. Their budget's 11 billion. That's only 30 something dollars per person per year. But I don't think I'm getting my $30 worth, quite frankly. It's half as much as subscribing to my Patreon. My Patreon's $5 a month. It costs more than the FBI, and I, quite frankly, I think I'm doing a better job
I think you do.
informing the public of what's happening. Speaking of which, why don't we talk a little bit about the Butler event? Why don't we focus in on the evidence, like I said, that floated to the top, that and new developments. There's been some new developments since we were last together that are kind of stunning. In fact, why don't we start with one of these? Let me share something with you in the audience, if that's okay with you.
Yep, yeah. I already gave it to you.
Okay, I'm going to share this with you, and you tell me when you guys can see this.
Yeah, see it.
Okay. So this is a tweet I put out about, what's it say, August 28th, so about 5 weeks ago. And when they showed us the stock and the weapon that the kid on the roof had, their narrative moved to a Butler SWAT guy shot at the kid on the roof, and this was the 9th shot. He raised his rifle, he took a shot, hit the guy in the stock of the rifle, and then the sniper team took the final shot and killed him. And so that became the testimony. And I said, but if that happened, wouldn't there be like a bullet wound on, like, you shoulder, hang on, oh, I don't have my shoulder stock here. You shoulder a rifle like this, and the shoulder stock is here, and we talk about a cheek weld. When you bring a rifle up, you're putting the rifle to your cheek, and it's called a cheek weld. You want the rifle on your cheek. So if that got shot, you guys see this, right? You see the big missing piece of the rifle, right? Well, if a Butler ESU SWAT guy shot at the kid on the roof and hit the stock of the rifle where you see there's a big piece missing, wouldn't the big piece of his jaw have been
Jaw would be off the body.
or it would have, entered his clavicle or something, the clavicle area here near the collarbone, right? So in this area, he would have a bullet wound, right? If he got hit. And I'm looking at this and saying, but the autopsy doesn't say that. It says he's got one bullet wound to the head. So how did the Butler SWAT guy shoot him and hit the stock? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so here you go. Here you can see him with the stock at his shoulder. Now, if that chunk of the stock was hit by a bullet, wouldn't the bullet have entered here or hit his cheek here? He's got his cheek on the rifle.
Yeah, whatever angle it would come in on, you just swipe your finger. It's taken off your neck, your jaw, or something.
I mean, something significant. Well, guess who picks up on it? Representative Mark Green in a Senate hearing on the 26th, I think this was. Yeah, September 26th. So this is a little over a week ago. And Congressman Mark Green picks up on this. So I tweeted this out. My tweets have been getting a lot of views since the original one, which we'll go back to that in a second. But I want to, if it's okay with you, can I play a clip for the audience? All right. So this is Congressman Mark Green. Let me first find the clip. And he is going to ask some really important questions here. So let's pop this up. And what we're talking about is the shooter in Butler took, or forgive me, we hear 8 shots fired from what appears to be the bad guys. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, 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 bang. 8 shots. And then right after that second barrage with the 5 shots, we hear another shot. And that sounds like it's a counter sniper. And their narrative says, well, it's a Beaver Butler SWAT guy. And he raises his rifle and he shoots the kid on the roof. Okay. So we're going to listen to some questioning that was happening in Congress. I don't know if you've heard this before, but this is pretty important. This is Mark Green, and he's going to be talking to the head of the SWAT teams for Beaver and Butler. So Greg Nickel, all the SWAT guys, report up into the guy that you're going to see answering questions. Can you see this now? You see the screen? Okay, here we go. Well, let me hit play, and you guys will follow along with this.
That the local law enforcement activity fired the first shot. Is that correct? Maybe hit the, you mentioned maybe that he withdrew. Do you think he was hit, or do you think he just sort of ducked because he was taking incoming fire?
In speaking with the officer that fired that shot, he's very confident that his round was on target. And the way he described him, it wasn't a duck.
Is the doctor still available and online?
Yes, I am.
Were there 2 bullet wounds in this individual, or just one, the headshot?
No, it was just the one.
Okay. I just found it interesting that when we were briefed by the FBI, we didn't get told about that shot taken by the local guys. Lieutenant Harrell, did Secret Service, the shooter apparently had the gun.
So you catch that?
We weren't.
So he turns to the medical examiner and says, wouldn't he have been injured? It's like, there's no evidence of that. That's pretty odd, right? That's pretty weird. That's pretty uncomfortable, right? If you're the head of the SWAT team and you're sitting there, that's pretty uncomfortable. Well, just a few minutes later, maybe 20 minutes later in the session, 30 minutes later, Clay Higgins gets the microphone. And you tell me, I mean, this to me, this feels a lot like a knockout punch. You tell me. All right, listen carefully.
Shot number 9 during the interviews with the Secret Service and FBI, they commonly step over shot number 9. They say Crooks fired 8 rounds, and then the Secret Service fired the killing shot number 10. But there was a shot number 9 fired, was there not, Mr. Lenz?
There was.
Okay, Commander, I'm gonna quote from the transcribed interview of Aaron Zalaponi. That's the tactical SWAT officer under your command that took shot number 9.
All right, so this is important. This is the testimony. This is sworn testimony signed by Officer Aaron Zalaponi, Beaver County SWAT. And this is his testimony, all right? And this is now legal stuff, so this is getting hot.
He was deployed. He heard the radio traffic. He saw the commotion. He left his deployed position and ran into a position where he thought he might be able to get a shot on if there was a shooter up on a roof, somebody on a roof. He said seconds after that is whenever the first 3 shots were fired. So I hear the first 3, crack, crack, crack. And at this point, I'm like, okay, where we at here? I look up, that's when I see Crooks. I got his head, his shoulders. I can see a rifle. At that point, I hear another crack. That's when I start pulling my weapon up. He gets 3 off. As I'm getting my target acquired, I'm getting my red dot up. I can see the gas emit from his barrel, his muzzle. Then right after that, I hear the snap of his fifth shot go off. Then immediately after that, I press one off, and that's when he immediately goes down. When I say goes down, it wasn't like he was ducking to get out of the way. I mean, I know I hit him. Like, there's no doubt about it. He goes down. He kind of jerks to the right, and then he slumps over slowly, and then kind of slowly rolls backward out of my field of view. So at that point, I did not have a second shot. At that point, he tries to recover. 2 seconds after that, the Secret Service, from a different vantage point, a higher vantage point, takes the killing shot. So my final question, if I may, to the doctor. Are you here with us, doctor?
Yes, I
Dr.
am.
Goldschmidt. You stated, sir, and I know you're doing your best. You performed the autopsy. I've observed your work. I think it was very professional work, in my opinion. You stated that there was only one bullet wound. I accept that you had only one observable bullet wound. Are you there, doctor?
Yes, I am.
Thank
Yes,
you
I
very
am.
much. Could the injuries on Crook's shoulders have been caused by a combined impact of Butler County ESU shot number 9 striking somewhere in the vicinity of the buttstock of Crook's rifle and some fragmenting from that impact? Could the injuries on Crook's shoulders have been caused by a combination of shot number 9 and shot number 10? Is that possible?
No, I don't believe so.
You don't believe it's possible. Does that mean it's possible?
No, it's not possible.
It's not possible. So I respect your testimony, but how would you determine if you removed only one fragment of a bullet? The FBI recovered no other bullets. That's our understanding. No other projectiles other than the partial projectile that you recovered from his shoulder. So you don't know where shot number 9 went, did you, doctor?
Correct. I do
Okay.
not.
So is it not possible? You're saying it's not possible that shot number 9 went all the way through Crook's, and you had no way of knowing that because it was in the same wound that was further affected by shot 10. You're saying that's not possible.
The body, there was no evidence on the body of that occurrence.
There you go, sir. That's different than impossible. Listen, thank you all for testifying today. Mr.
God damn.
He nailed them. So now what we know is that the cops lied and that the testimony, their sworn testimony, is nonsense. Has, they say they shot at the guy, and the medical examiner's like, no. Do you understand how awkward that, dude? They were just caught perjuring themselves in front of Congress by 2 different congressmen, by Mark Green and Clay Higgins.
Did the doctor save himself?
I think the doctor,
he's in a fucking tough spot.
right? I mean, these medical examiners, it's like, what's he supposed to say? It's like, there's not 2 bullet wounds in the guy, right? So this is how the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And they've been caught. And the fact that Mark Green caught him, Clay Higgins caught him, I posted this stuff 5 weeks ago and said, how is this even possible? How would this guy shoot him, hit the stock, and have that happen? That just doesn't add up.
You know, he was fucked when Higgins said it. I found it very professional. He's got the Southern voice. I'm someone who lived in Georgia for 16 years. I'm like, if they're buttering you up with a bless your heart or very professional or good sir, that means they're about to cut your nuts off.
Yeah, no,
I
and
felt it when you said
he's from
professional.
Louisiana.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, you could do a whole film about Clay Higgins and his prosecutorial style.
Fucking sounds like JFK. Well, through the looking glass now.
Exactly. So, but I think he did a good job. I think Mark Green did, similarly. And the fact that both of them zeroed in on the same topic begs a question.
Yeah.
Why are they making up a story about the 9th shot? What are they trying to hide? They're trying to hide a white hat shot. There was a white hat that took a shot, and they're trying to tell you, there was this guy, Zalaponi. Aaron, tell everybody you took the shot, all right?
Clarify that. A white hat.
All right, a white good guy.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But,
all right, we
yeah.
go good guys and bad guys, right? So the bad guys take the first 8 audible shots
At Trump.
at Trump, and then we hear 2 apparent white hat shots heading back towards the bad guys. White hats are the good guys, meaning Secret Service, SWAT. One of the good guys is shooting at the bad guys. They're telling you it's Butler's SWAT, and it's Aaron Zalaponi, and that Aaron Zalaponi raised his rifle and shot the kid on the roof. And the coroner, the medical examiner, not the coroner, the medical examiner, the doctor, is saying, no, there's no evidence of that. This kid was only hit once. He was hit in the left temple and exited in the rear right neck. That's why he didn't get brain bucketed, is because it came out soft tissue. That's it. 1 wound, not 2. And so this broken buttstock story, the buttstock must have been broken when the round came out of his neck. When the round exited the neck here, it's a 300 Winchester Magnum. That's got incredible kinetic energy.
Yeah, it's all joules.
All right. So when it comes out here, it would blow the stock of the gun off. You can still see the stock of the gun here. Yeah, I've got that shared. So if it exits his neck here, that would explain the stock of the gun getting destroyed there. So let's talk about basic math. There are 8 shots fired that we hear by the bad guys, or the bad guy. 1 round hits the railing, and that's what caused all the turmoil with my tweets. Now, do you guys, I don't know if everybody has seen that. Why don't I share that with the audience? That's the original tweet. It was, there's a second shooter. And because of that tweet, I was invited to go on the Dark Horse podcast with Brett Weinstein. So Brett and I had been in contact. We had been talking about the COVID thing behind the scenes. I was kind of busting his back a little bit. And when I published the video I'm about to show you guys right now, he reached out to me and said, I think it's time we do a Dark Horse podcast. And so I went on Dark Horse. It got about 150,000 views, which is more than he usually gets. And this video I'm about to share with you guys, when I put it on Twitter, got over 7 million views, which is that's like ABC News Tonight. That's David Muir kind of numbers.
Yeah,
so,
no, that's 100. So the one with you and Clay, that's my 5th most. That's hanging at like 120 or 130.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is, no, multi-millions is that ain't nothing.
Yeah. Well, it was 150,000 on
the tweet, the impressions on the
Dark
tweet,
Horse, right? But the tweet got 7 million, and this is the video. So this is the video that got about 7 million views on Twitter, and this was, I think I put this out. The shooting was on the 13th, and I think I published this on the 16th. And then Brett and I recorded the show, and it was out within a week. So let's take a look at this. This is the original issue. So this is the first thing I put out.
Something that said, take a look what happened. Something that said, take a look what happened. What happened?
You see it?
Mm-hmm.
See the puff of smoke? You see where it hits the rail?
Yep.
All right. The key here is the guy who's standing there in the dark blue shirt and the red hat. See how his left hand is on the railing?
Mm-hmm.
And it's at the 1, 2, 3, 4. His hand is between the 5th and 6th balustrade.
Mm-hmm.
The vertical things are called balustrades on the railing. And his hand is between the 5th and 6th, and he's holding on to it. Him standing there changes everything, because as the round hits the railing, his presence means it could not have come from the American Glass building, couldn't have come from the rooftop shooter. Watch again.
Something that said, take a look what happened. See something that said, take a look what happened. What happened? Take a look what happened.
All right, the next issue is, do you hear any shots before this? In other words, you see this puff of smoke, you hear a shot, right? You hear the president's talking. He says, you want to see something really bad, take a look at, and then we hear the shot. When you hear the shot, you see the puff of smoke on the railing, right? I mean, all right. How many shots is this? Watch again.
Take a look what happened. See something that said, take a look what happened.
How many shots was that?
One. Well, if you hear one.
We hear one shot. And we hear one shot, and we see the railing get hit. But in other footage, Trump gets hit with the first shot. Well, the issue there is Trump and the railing don't line up.
So it can't be.
So it can't be, right? So let me show you guys what I mean by this. And this is what you're not going to see anywhere else. So I've been working with a guy who's expert using Blender. And what this allows us to look at is the trajectories from the roof of the American Glass building. A shot that hits Trump's ear goes not to where we see the bullet hit the railing. In other words, the first shot that hits Trump's ear can't also hit that spot on the railing, or it'd be like a curveball. It doesn't work like that. And so the ballistic evidence, the fact that this guy is standing there in the corner, if the shot didn't hit Trump's ear and just was taken from the American Glass building, it would have had to pass through his torso to hit that spot. And this guy does not get shot. This is not David Dutch. This is not James Copenhaver. This guy doesn't get shot. So because he doesn't get shot, the round is coming from the side. Does that make sense? Like, you understanding kind of what I'm, this guy's standing right here in the corner. And the fact that this shot that's coming from the right side over here, that this doesn't, it's like one's going behind him and one's going to the left of him. He's got one on either side of his body, and he's standing down here in this corner in the diagram. And all I did back in the day was I said, well, wait a second. If that shot also caused that kid in white to fall down, and everybody else in the row is flinching, let's follow it back up the line. And so here's the back row of the bleachers. Here's Dutch and Copenhaver, the guy in the corners down here. And I just draw a line, parallel with the back row of the bleachers, because everybody in the back row is flinching. And when I draw that line, and I follow it back up, it led right to the counter snipers on the roof.
Yeah.
Well, they're not shooting people in the bleachers. That would be stupid. What the hell? Why would they do that? Why would the counter snipers shoot people in the bleachers? So you're like, oh, they're being shot at. Somebody is shooting at the counter snipers and missed. And that round went traveling down the back row of the bleachers. That's what it appeared was happening.
Hey, I'm gonna mute myself. There's a fire truck going by. Keep going.
Yeah, no sweat. So it appears to me that's what's happening. So when we watch the video and we see everybody in that back row flinch, again, I don't know if you guys have seen, was everybody in that back row grazed, or, what happened there? And it turns out that a lot of the people in the back row had some sort of a reaction to that first shot. And you can study everybody in the back row, right? You can run the video over and over and look at, the first shot as it happens, how are people responding? But we don't see any of the other people doing this. In other words, this is just the back row in the bleachers, the people 2 rows in front of them. Nobody's flinching. Nobody's lifting their hands up on the first shot. Now, everybody does. Eventually, they duck by the second or third shot. But on the first shot, nobody down in the bottom part of the screen here is flinching like everybody in that back row. I'm running this at 10%, by the way. That's James Copenhaver. So you see all this ballistic evidence of something happening down that row. Brett Weinstein said it's obvious something's happening up and down that row, and you see the puff of smoke on the railing. Well, then I came across some other footage, and I don't know that you've seen this yet. So I don't know if your audience has seen this yet. And this is the RSBN footage from Butler from July 13th. And Vanessa Broussard was reporting. I don't know if you can get Vanessa Broussard as a guest on the show.
I'll make a note.
Make a note. See if you can get her. It's Vanessa B News on Twitter. And Vanessa Broussard was there broadcasting that day for RSBN. She since has left RSBN. She's doing something new. But she was there broadcasting live. And the shots ring out. And she's got the microphone. And she's got a camera crew on the podium, on the tripod, filming. So I zoomed in on the Hercules counter snipers that were closest to the AGR building. And I think everybody knows these guys do not have line of sight to the kid on the roof. There's a tree in the way. Mm-hmm. So they can't see him, and he can't see them. Okay? Right? If you don't have line of sight because of a tree in the way, that means you can't see them, he can't see you. Right? It works both ways. Listen to what Vanessa Broussard says and watch what these guys are doing very closely. This changes everything for the Butler attempt. Watch this.
You're not sharing it.
No, he didn't. He did not.
Got it. Hang on.
Yeah,
My fault.
You're good.
It's still better than the Jimmy Kimmel show.
It is.
No, he didn't. He did not. Secret Service quickly erupted. You can see the snipers on the building behind the podium aiming at the trees. If you look to our left, there are trees in the distance, and that seems to be where the gunfire is coming from.
There's trees in the distance, and that seems to be where the gunfire is coming from. Do you remember when I was on with you and Clay, and I was almost embarrassed to show Clay the picture to say, I think they're in the trees. I mean, it's kind of, right? And Clay was like, dude, that's totally where we go. It's like, if there's trees, we go up the tree.
Yeah, Clay's like, of course
really?
You can go there. What are you talking about?
Right. And I was like, really? It just seems so crazy that there'd be a shooter in the tree. And Clay was like, dude, if I'm in a tree, you will never find me.
Yeah. No, it's like, that's where you go to kill.
Yeah. So he, helped me get a grasp on the fact that, that's not nuts.
No.
And then, but it was still uncomfortable. I was still uncomfortable sharing it with Clay. I was uncomfortable when I brought it up with Brett Weinstein. And then Vanessa Broussard narrates that and says it looks like that's where the gunfire's coming from, and the snipers are turning towards the trees. Mm-hmm. And you see it happen. Let's run this one more time. Watch this one more time.
Erupted. You can see the snipers on the building behind behind the podium, aiming at the trees. If you look to our left, there are trees in the distance, and that seems to be where the gunfire is coming from.
You see him moving clockwise away from American Glass Research, right? I mean, you see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
She says it looks like he's aiming towards the trees. It looks like that's where the gunfire is coming from. Is that consistent with my cockamamie diagram from week 1 that said, I think they're shooting at the counter snipers and they missed, and that bullet traversed the back row of the bleachers? Yeah, it's absolutely consistent. That's called corroborating the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see them moving, and Vanessa Broussard says it seems like that's where the gunfire is coming from, that's pretty powerful stuff. And yet, that's not all, because it gets better than that. How did it get better than that? Well, it got better than that when the counter snipers that we just saw on that rooftop gave a sworn testimony.
Ooh.
And when they gave a sworn testimony, what did they say? They said one of the snipers on the Hercules 2 team, that's the team we just saw where the guy was shifting, told the committee, now this is sworn transcribed interview with a Secret Service sniper, right? This is dated, signed, right? This is official stuff. After hearing shots fired, he thought his partner was hit due to the proximity of the whip-like cracks. The U.S. Secret Service counter sniper added that after the shooting, he told the committee, he asked my partner how close he thought the rounds were to our left. And he looked at me and said, I thought they were on my right.
Oh, fuck.
Dude, they're 6 feet apart from each other.
Yeah.
If you and I are standing 6 feet apart and you think it's on your left and I think it's on my right, that means it just passed between us.
Yeah.
And we're 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
Do you understand what's going on here?
Yeah.
This is now testimony. So what I intuited, looking at the ballistic evidence of the back row of the bleachers, following the line back up, and saying, I think they're shooting at the counter snipers, that turns out to be accurate. These guys were taking fire. We got, there's I don't think I had this either when you and I first got together with Clay. There's a guy, I think his name is Greg Lappin. Do you know Greg at the Fieldcraft Survival? So Fieldcraft Survival Tactical. There's a guy there named Greg Lappin. He's a former cop. I think he's also former military. And he interacted with these guys somehow. And he said they were taking fire. So let's listen to Greg Lappin. He seems to know what he's talking about. Let's hear what he had to say.
Because this is what everyone thinks is the infamous shot, and it's not.
Take a look what happened.
All right, so you hear 3 shots, boom, 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 unsuppressed, pretty clear. You see the guy, the counter sniper with the tripod. He's on his optic. He pops his head up, pops right back down. You see the rifle tilt down, tilt up, and he backs up. You see the other guy who's prone actually hunkering his head down and hunkering down. Now, yes, I understand it's their job to stay on scope and engage a threat. I understand that. And shooting, they actually thought, and again, this is inside information coming from the source, they actually thought they were being engaged because they could hear the sonic crack of the rounds passing by them. And they actually thought they were being shot at, not Trump.
So there you go. So they thought they were being fired at. I've been referring to this for quite some time.
Which is what you would do. If you're shooting at Trump, you would start to interrupt. You would not only not go alone, but even if, let's say you were alone, the first thing you do, you take a couple pops at the counter snipers, get them all fucked up, take out the security, and then take out the target.
Well, now you can shoot all day.
Yeah.
If you take out the guys who are going to shoot at you,
or don't even take them out, just scare them, fucking clip it, hit the roof,
make them run, right?
Whatever, yeah.
Right. So and disorient them. Obviously, they're disoriented once they get shot at, and so If someone is shooting at the guys on the roof from the trees, misses, and it traverses the back row of the bleachers, that lines up.
Yeah,
That lines up.
it's not that it's close. It's fucking
It's
exactly.
it's right. It's right. And it's dude.
Yeah.
This is no joke, right? This is
Yeah.
not. It's not a game.
No.
So what we have now is ballistic evidence of two shooters, and this, again, it's video evidence, it's photographic evidence, and the fact that we've taken the time to go from this monkey business type drawing that was, basically me on a napkin in the first week into a 3D model of the venue, right? Where we've calculated the trajectories, we've applied wind, we've applied, the weight of the bullets. It appears to me that since we see a ballistic event in this corner, but we hear one round fired, it may be that the round that's being fired at the counter snipers may have been subsonic suppressed. Now, they say they heard the crack, but we don't hear the crack on the microphone at the podium. And we don't hear, in other words, we don't hear two acoustic events at the same time, and we see the puff of smoke at the same time that we hear the shot that hits the president's ear. We hear the first shot, we see the puff of smoke on the railing. That means we should be hearing two shots. And so far, I've not been able to isolate two acoustic events, right next to each other. So what that means is the shot from the trees may have been subsonic suppressed, and simply because it passed between them, they sensed it. I don't know. I don't know. But for some reason, we don't have an acoustic signature of two events, and we should. And that's kind of where we are. So now that takes us to sort of this new level, which is we have all this evidence. So what happens as a result of that? What happens as a result of all this evidence? And
Hey, hold on. Tell everybody where I find your show. I gotta take a piss.
Okay, yeah, no sweat. So he's going to want to see this. For those of you that have not yet been to the channel at YouTube, go to youtube.com/@ I am John Cullen, and you'll find the channel. The name of the channel is Johnny Hoover. That's J. Edgar Hoover's real name. The less pretentious version is John Edgar Hoover. John E. Hoover is the name of the channel. It's like the name of the building. And that's where you'll find all the research on this. I do a weekly podcast with Jason Goodman every Friday night at 7:30 Eastern. And we've been investigating this Butler event from 3 months ago. Jason is an expert in Photoshop. He's a cinematographer, a former filmmaker. He's the guy who did 3D Spider-Man. He's built 3D cameras. He's an expert in 3D videography and all that stuff. So that whole realm of video technology and video compression and MPEG and all that stuff, he's an expert at that. And taking his work on all the photographic stuff to study what's going on at the event, and then my ballistic calculations, it's worked out very, very well. So you guys can tune into that every Friday at 7:30. And on Twitter, you can find me at I_am_John Cullen, without anything in between, just JOHNCULLEN. So I want to play a quick little,
Appreciate you.
a quick little video clip that I think you're going to like. So this was also in Congress last week. And you know what? Let me play this. Let me play this for you first. So this was just a couple weeks ago. Eli Crane, Corey Mills, what's his name? Andy Biggs? I think a congressman from Arizona. I think it's Andy Biggs. And Chip Roy from Texas all got together and they were doing a thing at the Heritage Foundation. Basically, they're not part of the official Butler investigation team from Congress, so they kind of form their own. So it's Chip Roy, Eli Crane, Andy Biggs, Corey Mills, and they do a quick little impromptu Dan Bongino show before they go all testify at the Heritage Foundation at this event. And so I kind of edited this a little bit to kind of get to the point quickly. Let me share this with you.
Was there a second shooter? There was no evidence of that.
I'm not really willing yet to, say wholeheartly that I don't believe there's not a possibility for a second shooter. There's a guy named John Cullen, I believe. He put a video out that had some evidence that I think this task force should take a look at, and it showed the bullet traveling down the bleachers, and the trajectory and the angle of this bullet and the flight path, and it disturbing people's clothes, and one guy hits the deck and then it hitting the railing, and you see the puff of the railing. It was not in line at all with Crooks, who's over here. It was this way. So I'm not willing to go there yet and say, hey, I know for a fact it was Thomas Crooks who acted alone. But going back to Chip's point of I don't believe that the FBI is going to get to the bottom of this, and even if they did, I don't believe that they would give us the truth.
Notice that anytime the narrative isn't, the facts of some event don't fit their narrative, that they sweep it aside.
Right.
Las Vegas shooting. I mean, how often do they talk about that?
Zero.
Do they ever want to go see the truth on it? Still no answers, right? The reason we're doing this forum is that 6 weeks ago Saturday, I think, if I have my dates correct, 6 weeks ago Saturday, President Trump was shot. And we act like that didn't occur as a nation. That is extraordinary on its face.
They actually thought, and again, this is inside information coming from the...
All right, so this comes up on the Dan Bongino show. Right?
Damn, son.
All right, so that's pretty strong. But then it gets better than that. It gets better. All right, so how does it get better than that? Well, in Congress, they invited Eli Crane and Corey Mills to testify as expert witnesses. They're both former Marine. They're both former SEALs. And Eli Crane's a former sniper SEAL. All right. And they invite them to testify. Well, I've been in correspondence with Eli Crane, and Jason's been in correspondence with Corey Mills. So watch what happens here. This is in Congress. This is official. Here we go.
Utilizing going forward, particular witnesses you think that we should have, any thoughts you have about what and whom we should be bringing in to testify?
One of the videos that I've seen online is from a gentleman named John Cullen, who talks about the possibility of a second shooter, and he shows a video, Miss Lee, where in this video he shows a bullet traveling down a path and the disruption that round supposedly makes, and then flies into one of the stadium fence railings. That shows that it would have been very, very difficult for that round to travel the path that it did had it come from Thomas Crooks. I think that you need to bring this gentleman in, see his evidence, and if you don't think it holds water, then you need to make that assessment. John Cullen is somebody I think you guys should bring in here and look at the video evidence that he has of a bullet traveling, in a trajectory, in a path that would not have been able to come from Thomas Crooks.
And I'd like to just echo this. The one thing that doesn't lie is bullet trajectory and also the coefficients that it carries. And I think that Eli and I had talked about this prior to the hearing, but also multiple times about John Cullen's video that does show, if you look at people who were injured and the actual line of sight and where it was to the stage, just kind of what the possibilities were and how many shots were truly taken.
The most parsimonious explanation for what you've got captured in this single video, we don't have to worry about aligning it or anything like that, is you've got 3 kinetic events in a straight line. That tells you had an object, but you definitely have the strong suggestion of a line that you could extrapolate from.
What you know about rolling down?
at some point, it's not a theory.
No.
It's ballistics, you know, and like Corey Mills said, you know, ballistics don't lie.
No.
You know,
That's the nuclear weapon. An ICBM really only needs to be successful. I'm probably butchering this, like the first 120, 180 seconds. After that, ICBMs are really just somebody throwing a baseball across the planet. Once you let go, it's pretty wind here and there.
Yeah, it's pretty predictable.
It's ballistics.
And what's interesting is that the software we're using to do the modeling allows you to add wind and allows, you know, you to add the weight of the bullets. It's kind of wild. So you really can get, you know, that there's multiple things that work on a bullet as it travels. One is gravity, right? So gravity pulls it down to earth. But they also have lift. They skip like a stone on a pond the first 100 yards or so.
Yeah, sure.
There's enough lift and enough spin that the bullet actually kind of skips on the air a little bit, and it can go up in the first 100 yards, but then gravity takes over and
density, humidity,
and all that. But there's stuff like the Coriolis effect, which is wild, right? So if you're taking a shot east to west or west to east, it has no impact. But if you're taking a northbound or southbound shot of a mile or more, ask Clay Martin about the Coriolis.
Well, I was to say everyone in my generation knows that from Modern Warfare. You know,
there you go.
Beware of the Coriolis effect. Yeah.
There you go. So the Coriolis effect, but only on northbound or southbound shots. East-west doesn't matter. There's no Coriolis effect on an eastbound or westbound shot. So, you know, all these factors, I mean, we're not factoring that in for a 152-yard shot, but I did some recent testing, and the testing that I just did, I was using, instead of 55 grain 223 rounds, which typically have a muzzle velocity around 3,000 to 3,100 feet per second at the muzzle, I did some testing with 77 grain 223. And the reason I did it is because the crack thump stuff wasn't adding up. And I think I told you guys this. The crack thump measurement only at 3,100 feet per second only reached to the windows of the building. And Clay Higgins spoke to the lady in the building, and she said the windows don't open or whatever. They don't open, they didn't open, they weren't open, meaning nobody was opening the windows. We saw what I thought was muzzle flash in the window. Jason, the guy that I do my Friday night podcast with, is like an expert in Photoshop, and he's a cinematographer, so he understands stuff like parallax and all this stuff. And what he showed us was it was actually headlights from one of the police SUVs that they parked on the grass, and we were seeing the reflection of the headlights in parallax as the cop went by. I was like, wow. So once you start seeing that there's the possibility for false positives, that what looks like muzzle flash might not be, and it could be reflections. It's like, I thought we had gun shots in the John Deere tractor, and it turned out it was a reflection of the spotlight. Same thing with the fire engine. So once you start realizing there's the potential for these false positives because of reflections, it just slows everything down, because now we got to double check, triple check everything that we see.
It does, but that's, I mean, in a sense,
that's how you do it. Yeah, I mean, that's how you got to do it.
False positives in their own slowing. It's the same thing as peer review. Is you got to chip away faster. You
got to do it.
Be more.
Got to do it.
So it's ultimately good.
But it's a pain in the neck. It's like once you realize there's the potential. So, for example, if the spotlights weren't on and there were no headlights on any vehicles, it'd be a whole lot easier, right? Then we could just say, ooh, you know, those look like bullet holes. But now that we know that the spotlights are causing reflections and that there are headlights out in the field, we know to look for it. And so we course adjust accordingly. So when I did the testing with the 77 grain, what was interesting was I was able to achieve a muzzle velocity of 2,400 feet per second. That's the magic number. 2,400 feet per second yields a crack thump of 152 yards. And so at the beginning, where I thought maybe the kid didn't take any shots, It was because Chris Martenson was coming out of the gate with the 3,100 foot per second muzzle velocity. And that is the normal kind of muzzle velocity they put on the box when you buy 55 grain 223. It says 3,100 feet per second or 3,150 feet per second right on the side of the box. So using a 3,100 foot per second muzzle velocity assumption, it's not like a crazy assumption. It's, kind of straightforward. But the crack thump didn't add up. The crack thump only led to the window. I'm like, well, that's not where the kid is. We see something in the window, but that's not where the kid is. When you recalculate the crack thump using 77 grain rounds, you yield a 2,400 foot per second, meaning I did it with a radar. I've got a little radar device that checks it, so it's accurate. And I ran 10, 12 rounds. So 2,400 feet per second with a 77 grain. And that yields a crack thump of 152. So if in fact the rounds, the brass casings, they recovered on the roof, supposedly they recovered 8 brass casings. If those brass casings are Hornady, Hornady Ultra Black or whatever it is, it's like there's certain rounds that are 77 grain, that would add up. But they haven't shared that with us. They haven't shared what was. In fact, Clay Higgins told us, when you just heard Clay Higgins talking, said the FBI said they didn't recover any rounds.
Yeah, because the rounds say FBI special on them.
Well, because the rounds, in other words,
it doesn't add up. It doesn't add to the narrative. None.
Right. So you got David Dutch was shot twice and didn't recover anything. Okay. Were they through and through wounds? I don't think they were.
Are they armor piercing? Do they go right through them?
Well, that's what I mean. If it's a through and through wound, it means the bullet went in and went out, right? Came in one end and went out the other.
Tip. Yeah, sure.
But I don't think David Dutch and James Copenhaver suffered through and through wounds. So if you don't have a through and through wound, that means the bullet's in you. And that wasn't turned into the FBI. We just threw that in the garbage and went to the dumpster, and that was that. The FBI told Clay Higgins we didn't recover anything other than a small fragment from his shoulder of the shooter on the roof, but that would be a round from Secret Service. We don't need that. We don't need to check the Secret Service's rounds. What do we need that for? We want the rounds from David Dutch, from James Copenhaver, from Corey Comparatori. Where you've got none of those? How do you have none of them? For $11 billion a year, you have none of the rounds that were fired at the president. For $11 billion a year.
Well, if I was paying my own secret police force $11 billion a year to clean up my assassination attempt, this is what I would expect. I would expect them to do a good job and say we found no rounds.
It's unreal. So the good news is Eli Crane, Corey Mills, Chip Roy, Andy Biggs have seen this content. Eli Crane and his staff has reached out to me and has asked me to present to Congress.
Let's fucking go. This is, man.
I need security, bro.
This is
security.
You did. Well, Clay. I mean, if this
I need everybody you know. Are you kidding me? Okay, do you understand? Do you understand that? What did Julian Assange say the other day? He said the CIA tried to kill him. Okay. What was his big reveal? What was the most crazy reveal of Julian Assange?
I didn't. What was it?
The gunship helicopter thing in Iraq.
That was Manning. That was Bradley Manning.
Well, but it was Assange who helped get Manning get that
collateral murder.
But what else did he publish? A bunch of emails about pizza parties and I want sausage. I mean,
about Pizzagate.
That's the big thing, and the CIA wants to kill him. And he was in solitary in Belmarsh since 2019. And he was at the Ecuadorian embassy for 7 years?
Yeah.
Because of what? Because of the emails? What's his body count? The gunship helicopter Reuters journalist thing, I think 13 people were killed.
You didn't kill anybody.
But in other words, the story that he's reporting that they want to kill him over
is the death of 13 civvies.
13 people in Iraq?
Yeah. Yeah. And you're yeah.
And I'm talking about a conspiracy to kill the former president on television. Being covered up by the government, and I've got the evidence, and they want me to testify to Congress.
I mean, I had on 2 guys last week who broke the story about the surface-to-air missiles being smuggled over the border. They called me the night before. I've had them on the show and said we brought it to the Secret Service and the DOJ, and they didn't want to talk about it, so we're going to come on your show.
About TWA Flight 800 stuff? You talking about way back then?
No. I'm talking about the story last week about how they had actionable intelligence that 6 Iranian surface-to-air missiles were smuggled across the southern border.
Oh, I don't think we heard that part. I think
all the way
the
up.
Iranians. I think they left out the surface-to-air missile part. We heard about Iranians.
Yeah, no. They did it on
We
my
heard about
show.
the surface-to-air. Yeah. So
these are
different.
Dr. Chambers' former SF, Baz's former SF, and former ground branch. These guys are not pussies, and they told me that before the show to just not leave my apartment until the story got bigger because I wouldn't want to be a target. So I can, perhaps commiserate with you in that I know what it's like to break a story about a conspiracy to kill the ex-president. It's not fun. The only thing to do is realize that you're not safe and to get good with God, and then you're fine. But no, easier. But what I want to say before all that was, this is, I mean, it's a as always, it's a dark show, but that's massive silver lining to like the joke about weaponized autism, and this is you and I'm doing a show from my apartment, and it's now getting up to a congressional investment. That should be the biggest white pill for anyone watching, that it's not all for naught. Your efforts aren't zero. It's not just pissing into the wind. Do the right thing, follow the truth, act courageously, and it fucking can have an impact. So like, that's major props to you. It's like, don't anyone listening like, oh, well, nothing's going to happen. Shut the fuck up. Grow a pair. Something is happening.
But quite frankly, the fact that you jumped on it, you brought Clay to the table to lend some credence or not to what were we discovering.
Yeah.
And I think Clay weighing in on a lot of this and saying, there might be some there, like there might be something to this, helped other people, like, for example, like a Corey Mills, who's a former Marine, and an Eli Crane, are looking at this and going, well, we know who Clay is. He's a serious guy. And if he says there might be something here, they take a look at it. So it's a process. And the fact that, again, Brett Weinstein's looking at this thing and going, I may not like John Cullen, but damn, I think he's got something here. And he may be a complete dick, but he's showing something here that nobody else seems to be talking about. And lo and behold, now Eli Crane brings it up in Congress. Corey Mills mentions John Cullen in Congress.
That's so crazy. That's so awesome.
And they've reached out privately. Like, I've got a date. They want me to go to Washington. I'm reluctant to go unless you bring your whole SOCOM crew. I'm not going anywhere. I need a dozen guys, 6 in front, 6 in back. I'm not going anywhere.
I'll put you in touch.
You can handle the press. You can handle the press. I'm not going anywhere. Are you kidding me?
I mean, you can go.
Do you see them carry Assange out like an animal out of that Ecuadorian embassy, like he was an animal?
Well, you do have an impetus to go, because the importance is get it out, and then once it's circulating, then you're no longer a target, because now it just draws attention to it. So if you are the sole possessor of knowledge, you are a target. Once you get it out and it's picked up by other people,
that's the thing. I'm not the sole possessor.
That's
In
true,
fact, it's kind of that's been sort of the whole thing when I was Magneto. It's not about me. Anybody can look at the same stuff and come to the same conclusion. And I think that's kind of the power of the material. This isn't about me and my
fate
PhD.
has brought you to this. Fate has brought you to this fork in the road. I mean, I can put you in touch with SF, Delta. I can put you in touch with them. I mean, they all hate the government. The government hates them. So I mean,
Well, I don't think it's about that. We don't want to go and get into
no. What
tactical
no no
battle
no.
in
What I
Washington
mean is
D.C.
what I mean is I would trust them because the government hates them too,
Oh, I understand.
as opposed to they're acting on behalf of the national security state.
Well, the good news coming out of their COVID debacle is that they've all become so accustomed to doing stuff over Zoom now that I suggested to them that I live in the backwoods near you. And I said, imagine I live in the far reaches of Maine and I'm 4.5 hours from the airport and I take care of my 98-year-old grandmother, right? And she's infirmed and I can't really leave easily. Like, that's not a logistically easy thing for me to do. So let's do Zoom and I'll be happy to participate. And this way my security is guaranteed. Quite frankly, if you guys can't guarantee the security of the president when he's playing golf, how the hell are you going to guarantee the security of me traveling to Washington, D.C.? You can't.
I wouldn't even use that excuse. I would just say I have no belief that you won't physically harm me. We'll do it over Zoom.
Right.
Fuck off.
Yeah. So
don't lie.
Not them. I mean, the people who want me there aren't going to hurt me.
Sure.
It's the guys who don't want you to know about the guys in the tree. They're the ones who would hurt me. And, again, I'm not interested in that. I don't want to get into gunfights in Washington, D.C. with, guys in Secret Service uniforms. That's not what I'm in. I want to share the information. But like you said, the information's out there now. People understand it. People have seen it. Your audience sees it. They understand it. This doesn't require 5 explanations in a row. You see the puff of smoke. You see the guy standing there, and you're like, I get it. I mean, so anybody could tell this story. I'm not really sure why I would need to be there, other than to make sure people don't get confused. And then they'll start asking personal questions, the ad hominem stuff.
Yeah.
Mr. Cullen, can you tell us about your credit rating? Is it true that in 2003 you were late on your gas payment? So they'll do whatever they can to discredit the person. And to me, this isn't about me. It's about the evidence. It's about what we see happening above.
It might be like all those Greek tragedies or some Oedipus shit. It might be that this is what you have to do, and if you don't do it, it'll still somehow. It's one of those, I believe in God or whatever you want to call it, fate. It's bringing you to the. I'm with you. Why do you have to go present it? I'm with you. Why did I have to have a story last week about fucking surface to air missile? I'm like, why can't this go somewhere? But the reality is it's come to your doorstep, and it's just what do you do with it? So it's just. Doesn't mean it's not scary. It's easy for me to say. I don't have a wife.
Well, we're going to make it work. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about the understanding. It's about getting the committee to understand what happened in Butler.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the evidence. And, the medical examiner who conducted the autopsy wasn't there in person, yet he participated and gave very powerful testimony that changed the whole nature of that session.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't there physically. He must have, I'm sure he was invited.
Sure,
and said,
that's a fair point.
I've got surgery, and I can't just leave. So I'm guessing he participated, made a big difference in the session, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
No,
it's good news. The good news is they're paying attention, like you said, and I don't know that we would have seen anything like this 10 years ago.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
Grateful to you for having me on the show and helping to get the word out and helping to put this in front. In fact, if you want to bring any of the other SOCOM guys, all these special ops guys that to look at this evidence like what Clay did, happy to do it. Again, we're going to focus on the evidence that's floated to the top, which is the ballistic evidence of a shooter in the trees.
Mm-hmm.
We got Vanessa Broussard talking about it. We see the snipers turning towards the trees. We've got their sworn testimony now. We had Greg Lappin talking about it. I mean, you talk about corroborated evidence. I mean, it's corroborated 9 ways to Sunday here.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to stick with. That's our runner on base. Once we've got a runner on base and they realize it is a conspiracy, there is more than one shooter. Whether there's 2 or 3 or 4, we'll get to that, but let's get the runner at first base. And the runner at first base is there's more than one shooter, and we've got ballistic evidence of that.
Absolutely.
And it's, that changes everything. So, again, can't thank you enough, man.
course, dude. It's always a pleasure having you on.
By the way, bathrobes are very in now. They're talking about the Kardashians are all in the bathrobes. And
I am in Maine.
Angelina Jolie. I mean, you make that bathrobe look massive.
It's on October 1st. The temperature in Maine plummeted, and I like it cold, so I got my windows open, and it's cold. And instead of running through the podcast, instead of halfway through the podcast, running through closing windows, I just throw in a bathrobe. So hey,
I like it. It's very in now.
You gotta have it.
Jolie, big story in the news right now. Bathrobes are in.
Really?
No. Oh yeah.
I make it. No, you know what? Fuck that. No, bathrobe. We're breaking conspiracies. Bathrobes and Butler.
It's exactly the bathrobe conspiracy.
Man, I forgot the so that thing's tonight or today. What time?
Today.
Today. You know what time?
I don't know what time the whole thing begins, but
a couple hours from now. Yeah, let's see. Trump, Butler. Let's see.
Schedule. Trump Butler schedule.
It's
going to be interesting to see Elon Musk and the reaction to Elon Musk.
Well, yeah, that, and I mean, talk about fucking putting a spotlight on it, is especially because in the last 24 hours, Elon's been tweeting nonstop about the lack of relief to the hurricane victims. So he's definitely going to use that to
Yeah, and he's trying to get his Starlink stuff there, and they're getting in his way with that. And I just want to say, if Cheryl Hines is watching, if you're available for dinner Wednesday night, I'm free.
RFK is going to come after you.
I am so fond of her. I have always loved her.
Hot. She's so hot.
She's so funny. Are you kidding? She to me anchored Curb Your Enthusiasm. She was fantastic. And I've been a huge fan of hers. And for her to go through this with him, oh my God, I lost all respect for him.
John's available.
Indeed.
Mr. John Cullen's available. And
for Cheryl Hines. For Cheryl.
Yeah. And just putting it out there, I'm much younger. So I'm also
Indeed.
Yeah, dude. Let's wrap up. I mean, if we're done, we can wrap up.
Yeah. I'm just commenting on RFK Jr., the dirtbag.
Yeah, of course. Why not? Yeah, I mean, you and I are already dead, man. So whatever. Who fucking gives a shit? But yeah, guys, please go in the description. Your YouTube is in there, and your Twitter's in there, and I think I put your podcast in there, and your Patreon's in there. You guys go throw them a couple shekels, and
I hope you enjoyed this, and this was informative.
Absolutely,
we took it to kind of the next level now.
Well,
again, invite all of your SOCOM sniper. I think Clay enjoyed seeing this stuff, but it's gotten much more mature since then. And I can show these guys a 3D model, talk about the ballistics, talk about this type of evidence. So if you want to get a consortium of them together, get 3 or 4 of them all together, and it'd be a lot of fun. I'd love to do it.
Shoot me a reminder email, and I will put out feelers to my buddy.
I think it'd be a lot of fun, right? Get a whole round table thing going on, 4 or 5 guys.
Well, I can get the most qualified. I can get the former public guys. That's
That's what I'm saying. You get a crew.
A cut above Clay is Dale.
Get them all together. I think it would be a riot.
I'll make a note.
I think it would be a riot. I think they'd really enjoy it, particularly now that Congress is talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
This is not. It's not a theory.
Yeah,
this is ballistic evidence we're reviewing here. So,
all right,
again, can't thank you enough.
Of course, dude. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. Please go in the description. Please go follow his YouTube. Please go follow his Twitter. Please go join his Patreon. And till next time, brother. Thank you so much for your time,
See you
guys.